Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Security by Default podcast. I'm the host of the show, Joe Carson. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I'm always excited about this time of the week. I get to talk to amazing people, fun topics, and just really sit back and enjoy and learn lots of really new things about what's happening in the world. Today, I'm joined with an awesome guest, somebody I've known for a couple of years now. And every time I've seen him in person, I'm always basically excited about the amount of knowledge and experience this person has. So welcome to the podcast. Welcome, Charles. Do you want to give the audience, it's your first time on the podcast, your origin story? What's your background? How did you get into this industry? And it's sometimes, some people take a natural path. Some people take an unnatural path. But what was yours? How did you find your way into this industry?
Thanks, Joe. I'm glad to be here, actually. I fell into this industry, actually. I literally dropped from the sky. Somebody called me up about a PAM project, and I didn't know who PAM was at that point in time.
Who is this PAM?
But
Somebody on Baywatch? Is it Baywatch?
Exactly. End of the day, I started out in the U.S. Air Force as a network engineer, building networks, working on networks, all the fun old school stuff that we used to have, and did all sorts of things along the way. So my title used to be chief cook and bottle washer because I wore many hats. But no, I got a call from a financial institution up in Jersey City, and we had a chat. Me and the gentleman I was talking with had similar backgrounds, and he said, "You'll be perfect for this." So I went and ended up running the team, just because I really enjoyed this, because I wish I had some of these tools when I was in the military. But it was so long ago, we didn't have them. So, and I've been here ever since. I love this stuff. So.
Absolutely. No, it's great. I mean, I remember I've been in this industry for such a long time, and I remember the time before tools and solutions didn't exist, and you had to track it manually. I remember having spreadsheets to manage hundreds of credentials, and then trying to track about what the passwords were and having full access. I used to be a domain administrator for hundreds of thousands of servers, same credential for everything. So you look back and think, well, I mean, it was much simpler times then, and you could physically touch the hardware and this, the
exactly
system, but so much has evolved over the years. So
it was always the fun sticky note underneath the keyboard.
I mean, sometimes, it depends. I mean, always the context. It really sometimes depends. What is that room locked? Is that complex? Is it the only thing protecting the account? Is there additional multi-factor authentication stuff? So always the context is so critical. So what types of trends, what have you, all the years you've been doing this, and your experience in identity security and privilege access management is one of the kind of best out there. What's some of the best practices and trends that you've seen? What's the trends in identity security? Is it becoming important for organizations? Does everyone have to prioritize it? How should they prioritize it? How should they look at the risks?
I think the biggest thing trend-wise that I see is the regulators kind of pushing people towards some type of solution, whether it's for the identity side, the privilege side, or both. And getting to sit down with some of those customers and listen to them tell me what they think they know, because they're not into the systems on a constant basis looking at their identities. But also when a CISO says, "Charles, can you tell me what I don't know?" That's the key question. What do I not know? And I can't tell him what he doesn't know until I go and look at what they have, have an overview, talk to the people that are using these systems. How are they accessing these systems? How many service accounts do they have? That's the fun one, the non-human accounts. And I love that trendy word, the non-human. Is it a robot? Is it a dog?
End of the day, I love Felix's post about that, the farmyard.
But at end of the day, it comes down to what they don't know. So when you start doing some analysis and running some reports on what they might have in their Active Directory, is their Active Directory clean? How many orphaned accounts? It kind of shocks them. It's like, wow, I didn't know we had all of this sitting there. Those applications have been decommissioned for years. Those people have been gone for years. They don't know these things until somebody actually comes in and tells them. The regulators, they're being helpful because they're kind of pointing out things. The auditors are pointing out things that people may not know that they have going on in their systems and how people are accessing things. We were just talking about when you said you had access to hundreds of domains and hundreds of servers, full administrative access with the same credentials. How many people have those things? It's all the unknown, and that's the fun part of going into a customer initially and walking them through those things and kind of showing them what they don't know, and then going through, where's the priorities? Where do we start on these things, and how do we start fixing this for you so you're a bit more safe, and then we can mature that going down the road. And I think those are the key things. And a key part is not just listening to your customer and what they have to say,
Mm.
but hearing what they have to say is probably the biggest key thing. A lot of people listen and they still have all of this stuff in their head. Well, I've done this before and I've done that before, but every customer is different. They have similar issues, but every customer is different.
Absolutely. How they measure success and what their business kind of services are, and
Yeah,
how they're structured from an organization, what type of technology they're using. Is there innovation happening? Is there partnerships and supply chains that interact through all of those? Can get quite complex, and I
yeah,
think you're sort of straight on. Is the reality check? I always call it the reality check of what you think you have and what you think what you wish you knew you had.
yeah.
um,
As opposed to what you actually do have.
I remember years ago when I first started doing the research in this. It was maybe about 11 years ago, and I started going through discovery about credentials and identities and where they were being discovered. And 10 years ago, it was probably a little bit simpler because you typically either had one cloud and one
Yeah,
on-premise environment. So it was a lot simpler to discover. But typically, it was on a scale of, for every single identity that they had inventoried, there was probably 4 to 5 other identities that they didn't know still existed.
yeah,
And it was applications, to your point, it was software that was installed, it was a pilot that had happened, it was a team that came in to do an audit, and the auditors had accounts and credentials that were just left behind, that were never cleaned up. And you end up with this massive dormant, accumulation of sprawled accounts that have scary levels of privileges that is just not in that spreadsheet or not in that dashboard that the CISO or the executive team are really kind of focusing on. They're typically focusing more on the active services that are what they're delivering rather than
right.
the ones that were should have been deprovisioned over the time. I think sometimes you're obviously one of the first actions I typically find is that out of all of those dormant accounts is how many can we remove immediately.
Yeah, yeah. So one customer I was working with, and the fun part was looking at all of their orphaned accounts, dormant accounts. We removed in 9 months over 2 million accounts. They were a global financial institution. 2 million accounts, service accounts, lever accounts, just accounts that didn't exist or didn't need to exist.
It's a
So
scary
that's
amount
a
of
lot.
accounts.
That is a lot of accounts. End of the day, you have database guys working with you. Databases and orphaned accounts were the big thing here. And if you
Mhm.
have orphaned accounts on databases, who has access to that? Do those people or those services can they still access those things? And the fun thing about service accounts is people having access to those service accounts. Service accounts are non-interactive accounts. It's taken a long time to get people to grasp that concept that a service account is run by a service, not a person.
Mhm.
So, but 2 million accounts, that was a lot. And I haven't seen that since, but because I think people are starting to do that housekeeping that they really need to do, which is good.
The hygiene. They're really
Yeah,
starting to look at one as the footprint is because if you're not cleaning and you're not having a good identity
right.
hygiene, let's say program or strategy, the risks just grow. You're not having a proper risk assessment and risk appetite to really getting things under control and visibility. And
So,
those dormant accounts can, to your point as well, as I used to see lots of organizations creating service accounts with interactive logon so they can test that they actually work and then never actually turning off interactive logon so that the attackers can now
yeah,
disguise themselves as a service. And that mistake and misconfiguration, sometimes it is a practice that many people do in order
yeah,
just to check that things function and work, but not having a procedure to go and turn it off or to harden the configuration when it moves into production. I've seen power stations with service accounts that had been basically using the training manual, and the training manual had the default credentials in the manual, and then they would actually follow those instructions to the T. So the actually real live credentials were the same as what was documented in the training manual with default weak credentials. And it was always kind of scary that, and then of course, now it's functioning, they would move it in from testing environment into production and never go back and check and clean that up. And it's
a
just
lot.
it's an open door just waiting to happen that can have devastating impacts, especially for
Yeah.
utility and power companies. So what's
Well, now they fall under their own regulations, their
yes,
regulators, because now they're falling under critical infrastructure. So
correct.
it's a bit more stringent on them. I just got finished working with a large mobile phone company here in the
Mhm.
UK, and it's a different world, and you have to think about it differently because that critical part of their environment has to stay 100% secure. You have to keep an eye on it. You have to keep it cleaned up. So yeah, it's new trends are happening.
Absolutely. NIS2 and DORA did have a massive impact in this. It did force many organizations who have been pushing this priority, down the road for many years. And NIS2 and DORA did bring it to the forefront and meant that there was no longer the ability to kind of keep pushing it down, and they had to take action. So absolutely,
Yeah.
it's great to see regulation making organizations rethink and become more secure as a result. But
Yeah.
it's a shame that it has to be pushed. But some companies need to push.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and the regulators still leave it open to the business to interpret
Mhm.
a bit of this, which it's kind of good. So you can decide, am I going to use a secure cloud environment, or am I going to keep everything in my own on-premise cloud environments, things like that. So the interpretation, allowing the business to interpret the regulation, parts of those regulations, is a good thing, end of the day, because companies have budgets and they can't keep buying duplicates of products for those types of environments and things like that,
They need they
especially
need
today.
unified platforms that can
Yeah.
provide, that can cover multiple areas of risk. So, question, there has been this big shift, of adding additional security controls in place. We've seen forcing multi-factor authentication with, critical accounts and privileged credentials. We've seen session recording and session controls. What other types? Have you seen how much have you seen the shift to more of a passwordless function? I see it more, of course, in the human types of credentials, not so much on the non-human or non-interactive accounts. So what types of additional controls are organizations putting in place in order to make sure, in addition to discovering what they have in the first place,
Yeah.
what are they doing to protect them?
A lot of it's still the multi-factor
Mhm.
authentication. Granted, they're not going via SMS anymore, so a lot of places aren't. A lot of places are going to the Windows Hello, the face recognition, the fingerprint, the biometrics,
Mhm.
which is good. I mean, because people don't have to have multiple tools to log into things. And I still carry an RSA token for one of my customers. I haven't had one for years, but now I've
Mhm.
got one again. But it's all sorts of ways to do this. Service accounts, run things with APIs, use token based. You don't have to go in and do passwords. Use an API, and things like that. So everybody's still kind of on the multi-factor piece. A lot of people are moving to the biometrics, which is good. The
Mhm.
smart cards, if
Mhm.
their company laptops have those, you stick the smart card in.
Mhm.
One customer used YubiKeys.
Moving to passkeys as well. So having
Yeah,
having the
and the
token
passkeys.
created on the device itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so people are trying, which is good, and to be more secure. And the nice thing is the change isn't massive to the end user, the business users, and things like
Mhm.
that. So some people are tough on change. We all know, and they like to
Yes.
push back.
Yeah.
End of the day, it keeps what they're doing safe.
Absolutely. I would say one of my mottos is always that, when you're putting security in place, it should always be better than the existing
Yeah,
experience that they have today. And that accelerates, one is the want to change and the adoption. So I do see, some of the technology out there like passkeys and the provisioning and deployment can be a little bit more complicated depending on the devices that they have and
right.
locations and proximity. Legacy devices sometimes creates a bit of a headache as well. But once they're deployed, and the experience is definitely much, much better and much more seamless. It's one of those areas that once you've got it rolled out, the user experience is a positive one. And I also, the days of, the AVs and the firewalls stopping you from doing things and slowing things down. This is definitely one of the areas that with identity security and privilege access, if you do it right, you can make people's actually experience much better, more
Much
positive.
easier. Yeah,
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 and you take away the pain of passwords, what they've done over the years. The passwords are a pain. What they were cheap and simple
yeah.
to use from a cost perspective, but the risks accelerated way too much.
The really nice thing is a lot of these tools we have today, these solutions that are out there, they all do the same thing, just differently, and they
Yeah.
look and feel different. But at the end of the day, they do the same thing. They do
Mhm.
some really good things, and now they're getting some of that AI technology into it.
Yes.
And it's actually useful because it's helping people that may not have the certifications in those solutions
Mm.
to administer it. It actually helps them learn how to use the system so they can go get those certifications to be a better
Mhm.
administrator of the system. It's more user friendly from the some of these
Mhm.
identity solutions,
Yep.
the IAM solutions, self-service. And that's what you want. You want the end user to be able to use that solution as
Mhm.
well and make it simple for them to use it at the same time. So you're not having to do a lot of things manually. Somebody puts in a request, all those flows in the background do what it needs to do, and it's automated. So you're not getting that human interaction anymore, which really isn't necessary to.
Absolutely. I do see this. I mean, the great thing to your point is that it's really commoditized the industry,
Yeah.
that it's not just for those few really large organizations that had the resources and budgets to be able to get them. That's what it was maybe 5, 10 years ago, that
Yeah.
only you could afford to do this. But now it's commoditized and there's so many choices and options out there that everyone has the ability, no matter what size of organization, to go and be able to put these solutions in place to really automate a lot of these areas.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. I think it's only, the commoditization does make the world a safer place because it does allow everyone to have the choice and option.
Yeah, agreed. And even the mom and pop shops, as I refer to them, that are companies small but starting to grow. So those startups,
Yes.
there's tools out there that aren't extortionately costed for them
Mhm.
that they can start with to progress and then mature as they grow their businesses. And
Mhm.
and that's the nice thing is it never was really anything for the mom and pop shops, the
Yes, it was.
startups.
There was the massive gap. They would have either
Yeah,
had to
it was.
choose. They couldn't do an IAM or PAM, but they may have been starting with maybe a password manager or password vault, and but it still meant that they were having to make security decisions themselves and learn those tools about how to use them. But there was a massive gap in between.
Yeah, it
And
was.
that gap is converging and becoming less. You mentioned about AI. What are you seeing? How are you seeing AI being? It's a double edged sword. We all know that it's both has
It
the
is. It
good
is.
defense capabilities and
The
also
really, the, yeah, the really nice thing, and I still kind of like to do things on my own, but the really nice thing is some of these solutions now, you can tell it what you want and it'll go in the background and create it for you.
Mhm,
So if I want a new workflow to do a change my joiner process or
mhm,
add a user and make sure my data is up to date, I can
mhm.
actually type in some of these things and almost like talking to Claude, Chat GPT, and it'll go and do it for me.
That's
So
impressive.
like
It's
yeah, so like I said, end of the day, it's not only a tool to manage and maintain your identities and the governance around those,
mhm,
but also for new people, younger folks, new people coming into the industry to learn as they do these things.
mhm,
So it's a learning tool. I mean, that's what I like because the more and more I see college graduates
mhm.
and people right out of high school here in the UK that want to get a job, want to go through an apprenticeship, wanting to learn this identity stuff that I enjoy doing. Besides me mentoring them, some of these solutions can actually mentor as they use them. So
Absolutely.
it's yeah, it's great tools nowadays.
I call it, it's the modern day Tamagotchi, which is your modern day digital companion,
I
which is
remember
really
that. Matter of fact, my 16-year-old has one, so she asked
that's
for
one.
one a few years ago. It's great, but yeah, it's not just one of those things that people like Joe Carson and Charles Chase and other people that we know
Mhm.
understand. It's something that somebody can come in, learn, and enjoy it as much as you and I do.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of the AI tools is really your Palm virtual assistant, your
Yeah,
identity virtual assistant companion that
yeah,
can really, if you've got questions, it does mean you have to have a basic understanding in order to what I mean by that is that you have to know what questions to ask and how to do the prompts
sure,
properly to get the answers that really make a difference. So there
exactly.
has to be some basic understanding to really get you started with that. But once you have that, these tools really become very knowledgeable assistants to really help you understand how to achieve something that you need to do.
Yeah. So
And one of the
I
Go ahead.
recently interviewed a couple of college graduates
Mhm,
for a couple of positions for college grad positions. And the really nice thing, these kids are smart nowadays. I don't like to use the word kids, but they are. They're extremely smart. And these guys, had coding backgrounds and this. So
mhm,
they're actually coming into an industry of identity with knowledge of development and databases and things like that. And it's like, wow, great. Come on. And I want to show you how much fun I have doing this because you haven't really worked. You might have heard about identity in university, but
mhm.
it's big out here in this world. I mean, you think about identities, it is the focal point of everything that we do.
It's the foundation. I will say, because I'm based in Estonia, and the whole society here is literally is built on digital identity.
Yep.
Everything that we do, from a data, whether you're parking your car, getting something from a vending machine, getting a prescription for the pharmacy, getting on public transportation, to doing your taxes, to doing financial transactions, to
Yep.
starting a business. The foundation, one of the core pillars, is a digital identity. That's what makes and the calculation a lot of times, sometimes we try to find out, okay, it's a productivity enabler. It really allows people to be very productive, more efficiently, more effectively, and reduce wasted time.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the measurements here is that how much a good identity access management program and strategy, how much time does it save and how much reduced wasted time is eliminated. And therefore, there's a true ROI there. There's a really great way of
There is.
calculating how much more efficient an organization can become, and we do that from a country perspective. So was like how many days GDP are saved per year in Estonia? It's six plus days across on average, which
Wow.
calculates into billions of
Nice.
saved costs that can be put back into the society in order to continually improve and look for new services that can enhance that much more.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like my morning coffee that I put up
Yes,
shortly before.
which I do. I do
I
enjoy.
just
I did see your morning coffee coming out today.
no, I was doing them constantly. Then I was like, let's put a little bit farther, further between.
So can
My,
you explain to the audience what your morning coffee is?
Yeah, so my morning coffee is just something I throw up on LinkedIn, thoughts about security that I might have for that day, something that, hit me the night before. And it adds a little bit of me to it, which is having fun, a little bit of humor,
Mhm,
but key points that people should think about. Are they doing this? Or are
mhm.
they not doing this? And some of the are they not doing this? I put little emojis with rolling eyes if you're not doing it. But, gee whiz type information.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is simple end of the day. It's simple practices that people
Yes.
should be doing. So the one I put up right before you messaged me was my trip to Texas. Where did my identity travel while I was flying around? And the funny thing is, you don't think about that, but I was
Mm,
thinking about it on the plane because I was coming back and going to go to work, and I was like, I went to a hotel, I rented a car,
mhm.
I went to restaurants. Everywhere I went, I tapped a credit card or I handed them my passport or another ID. So how far did my I'd love to follow where my ID went on holiday while I was on holiday because it was probably all over the place.
Mhm,
But it's just so simple things. And then I kind of threw the corporate view on that is
mhm.
where are your identities going and where are they being used? Are people traveling abroad while they're working for your company? What are they accessing? How are they accessing it? Things like that. So it's lots of fun.
Fantastic. And actually just remind because literally, as you said, I've just finished one of my latest identity books last week, exactly on that topic. It's all about identity metrics.
Nice.
It's And it's to that point is about what's all the, intersections that your identity has and the different ways to measure that, from to your point is where does it travel to? Who does it interact with? What security controls are applied? So many different areas from things from discovery to attributes and associations, interoperability, to operationalizing of identity. How do you make it work for you? To the security, how do you protect it? So literally, I mean, I'm so excited. It's something that's been in my mind for quite a number of years, and I finally got the opportunity to take it from my head and put it into a digital format.
Nice.
And hopefully, for the audience and everyone in the identity space, hopefully this book will come out pretty soon. It's pretty much it's an identity security handbook, let's say, that primarily focuses on how to measure your identity as it evolves and changes, and it's exciting. So, a question
I
for
think
you is
that'll be helpful. That'll be helpful to a lot of
it's
people and companies at the end of the day.
absolutely because we've done it in silos. We've done it,
Yeah.
looking at it from what's the security controls in place, or how do we do the joiner leave remover, entitlement side? What's the governance side of things? So we've done it in silos, but I don't think anyone's ever taken the step to bring it all together. We see it from the IAM side, which is more about the enablement of identities, and we see it from a PAM side, which is more about the security of identities.
Yeah.
But that convergence, bringing it into how do we just measure identity,
Yeah.
and look at what's the things we can influence success and reducing risk, and you know looking at that, let's say the matrix of how identity is evolving through all of those intersections.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So the question for you is that, for any of the audience, let's say, that they're looking to get into this industry, what types of resources, what's some of the mandatory reading? Who's the people they should be following, including yourself? What's the best way? Is there events that help educate on identity that that they can attend? What do you recommend for anyone who's looking to get into this space? What's a good place to get started? What's some of the resources? How do you stay up to date?
So books, I haven't read a good book in a while, but a lot of blogs I can provide lists. But following people on LinkedIn, just go to my page. Everybody I follow
Oh,
has something to do with identity, besides a few others. Yeah. Staying up to date is just constantly reading what's going on out there in the world,
mhm,
looking at my Google News. I actually have some things that pull up identity white
mhm.
papers and that. It's hard to stay up because it's ever changing and it just keeps growing and growing. But we all do it. If you love it, you're going to end up doing it in the long run. Yeah. Follow me if you'd like.
Well, actually, make sure that I'll add to your links and the notes into the show notes, so it makes it much easier for people to follow you.
Yeah. And it is, my morning coffee. If you like to have a laugh first thing in the morning about identity, every once in a while it'll pop up. Let me know what you think. If you have any topics you'd like to hear about. But yeah, this is a fun industry. At the end of the day,
Mhm.
Joe, I'm still here. I haven't left. I always told my son when he was younger, if you enjoy doing what you're doing,
Mhm.
great, because you're in the right place. If it starts to
Absolutely.
feel like work, change roles, do something else. If you've stepped up to the plate and swung
Mhm.
the bat, hit a home run, then end of the day, you're just going to be happy doing what you're doing.
I can't emphasize more, but it's exactly what you said. Is if what you're doing is your passion, you will enjoy it so much more. You'll be more engaged. You'll be happier, and you can take the time to have fun. So, I mean, there's a few people out there whose posts just bring smile to my face every day and joy to the world. And definitely your morning coffees it does that for me. So I'll definitely make sure that
It's
people
just
get
getting
this.
those points across and trying to, put a smile on people's face, but
Mhm,
make them think at the same time, is my company doing this? Is my customer doing this?
mhm.
And customers are key in this industry. And if you walk them through the processes, holding their hand or not, and help them get to where they need to be in an effective and efficient manner. One, you'll be happy because you see the end result, but at the end of the day, they'll be happy because they know they
Mhm.
have some security around their identities. And like I said, and you said, identities are the foundation of most
Yes.
businesses. You have to have them, and they all come together.
Mhm.
Identities, privileged identities, non-human identities, they all come together. It's not separate pieces. You
Absolutely.
have to make them secure.
There's a convergence around it. It is the foundation of not just companies, but society.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
We have to use them. Let's do it wisely and smartly. So
Okay.
it's fantastic having. I always enjoy chatting with you. And it's been too long, my friend.
It's been too long. Yeah. I think it was one of the last events. So I forgot about events. I go to solution vendor events. I go
Okay.
to cyber events,
Hmm.
mostly here in the UK. InfoSec, it's changed over the years, but it's
Yes, it
still
has.
fun. And then any small event that I can get to around identity, there's
Mhm.
been some good ones. Hopefully there'll be some new good ones next year as well. So if you ever see me there, just look for the ball-headed Texas guy, and I'll be there. Just come up and say hello.
Fantastic. I mean, if the audience does have follow-up questions or want to contact you, what's the best way for them to reach you? What's the kind of
Charles
location?
Chase on LinkedIn. That's probably the best. If they want my email address, just ping me on LinkedIn, or I'm happy to have a phone call. LinkedIn's probably the best. I keep it up all day. I see all my notifications come in. So yeah, more than happy to
Fantastic.
chat with anyone.
Fantastic. Excellent. Many thanks for joining me and sharing with the audience. It's an honor and it's a pleasure. And we should definitely
Thanks for
be
having me, Joe.
extremely no, it's you're a superstar and honestly a great
Appreciate it.
person in this industry that really makes a difference. And going back to my kind of my goal is to really make the world a safer place and make something that, place that we all enjoy and be happy, no matter what we're doing. But just to do it in a way that you can surf the internet, you can do transactions, you can
Yeah.
game, you can interact with people, but let's make sure we're all safe while we're doing that. So for everyone in the audience, stay tuned every 2 weeks, new episodes, great guests coming on, awesome thought leaderships, and really bringing you information in order to really help navigate your future career wherever it might take you, or you might be transitioning into new roles. And you want to learn something new or have some new goals and ideas in order to really make your career successful and a great one. So hopefully this is bringing that information to you. Stay safe, take care, and see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.